Well, if it isn't me, the host of my vlog. Hey everybody, oh wow. I don't even know what to say to that. Hey everybody, welcome back to Making Waves. This is my podcast production vlog. I'm Kevin Bartelt. You probably already knew that, but if you didn't, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for checking in. You know, I was on a good hot streak of releasing these almost every week, and then I got super busy with said podcast. What are the big updates since I last chatted with you guys? First of all, before we get into that, I just want to say thank you to everyone. I got a lot of love on my last vlog discussing my top and worst, top and bottom. That's not how you would phrase that. My bottom memories. Okay. Different video, chef. I talked about memorable moments in my career in podcasting, and it was really fun to make, and I got some very nice comments about it. So I just wanted to thank you for that, and check it out if you haven't seen it. It was a good time and a good chat. Some of the shows that I've been working on, like newer ones, are The Extraordinarians. We've talked a little bit about that, hosted by Tony Hale, Kristen Schaal, and Matt Oberg, where they interview world record breakers and high achievers. It's a fun time. So that launched 6 weeks ago. About 6 weeks ago. And another show that just came out. I mean, I'm recording this on a Monday, so the first episode dropped today, which is XOXO Bada Beings, a new podcast with Carl Tart and Lamar Woods, where they watch every episode of The Sopranos. Carl has never seen the show before. Lamar has seen it 7 times. It's his favorite show. And we're going to watch all 86 episodes together. That's on the Patreon, patreon.com/Hollywood Handbook. And the plan for that is to release, do like a season, take a little bit of a break, do a season, take a little bit of a break, just because we're doing so many pods right now. So the first episode just dropped today. A lot of love for it. We had to do it on Zoom, kind of a last minute thing, which, obviously we'd prefer to be in studio, but, things come up. And so we did a Zoom recording, and next week and all the episodes, at least for season 1, will be filmed and recorded right here in my studio. So stay tuned for that. And I was betting a lot on that show being a reason why the Patreon grows. And I've seen a pretty nice bump today on there, which is very exciting. I feel like we're at 40 new subscribers, around 40, a bunch of people upgrading to the bundle tier to check that out. And so, I don't know. I'm a data nerd. I'm a numbers nerd. So I like seeing, the changes in our Patreon as we dabble with little things. So that's going well. Right now, though, to be honest, I mean, we're at 38,200, which is very cool and very impressive. However, in classic Chef Kevin style, I set a very ambitious goal of being at $42,000 by the end of the month. Doesn't seem likely to see a $3,800 bump. Is that correct math? Hopefully. But basically a $4,000 bump in 3 weeks. So sadly, I don't think we're going to hit that. But it'd be great to hit, 39 maybe. I really would love to hit 40. So that's just a constant goal of mine. But I'm hoping that as we release more and more episodes, we're collab post with XOXO Gossip Kings, and posting, I think we're just going to be posting a lot of great stuff that gets people excited about the show. And so it's also fun just to have a like straight down the barrel, a over the plate TV recap show. So I'm excited to see, and one of the most beloved shows of all time, and oddly a show that like the LA comedy community is obsessed with. Not oddly, it's a prolific show, but I guess oddly in that it's a drama, and I feel like I know 100 comedy writers, performers, podcasters that are obsessed with this show. So I'm excited about getting some guests on to talk about it as well, and just I don't know, recording and chatting about the show with Carl and Lamar. So that launched today, as of the day I'm recording this. What else? Another show that got announced, drum roll please, I can finally say that the third and final new show that I'm working on, something that I've been setting up every vlog since I've been doing these, is a new podcast with comedian and a host that I worked with for a year and a half, and just all around great guy, Gareth Reynolds. We worked on We're Here to Help together, and he is hosting a new show called Next We Have. It is a segment show where I really view it as like a variety show. We really liked the idea of not being kind of cornered by a single premise and being able to do, I don't want to say like whatever we want, because you don't want it to also be so generic that it's like whatever. But we just felt like it would be fun to explore different things. And one of the things that I was really excited about as well was I'm co-producing it with this guy. His name's Alex Burns, and Gareth has known him for years, for decades, I think. And he is extremely creative. And so Burns is doing a lot of like the day-to-day kind of segment producing, and I'm doing kind of the big picture things. I've like essentially assembled our team. I feel like we have like the Avengers of a production team that I'm really excited about. And the show is launching June 5th, which, depending on when this comes out, might be today. So I highly recommend checking that out. And the trailer is already out for it. We'll link for it in the description. And yeah, I've been working very hard on this for several months. And so I guess I will explain now. That was Codename Mental. Why was it called Codename Mental? The associate producer, AJ McKeon, came up with a great name for the show that we ultimately could not use, which was segmental, because every episode has several segments. And Headgum, understandably, was like, well, we already have a show called Segments, so we're not going to have segments and segmental. And so but by that point, I was already saying Codename Mental on every vlog that I was doing. Sounded like a British show, to be honest. Maybe I should make it. Well, let's pocket that. Let's 2026 British comedian hosting a show called Mental. What would it be? Just getting to the point where they go, "Are you mental?" Libby Watson, I know you have a new show. Okay, anyway, I'm thrilled for many reasons. I'm very excited about this show. I'm working just with a group of talented people that I'm extremely excited about. And so part of it was I was like taking I don't want to say like cut and pay, but I basically agreed to like not get paid for a while, because I really want the people, everyone else, to get paid, who's working on the show, as they should, as everyone should, obviously. But it was really important to me, like looking big picture, that I wanted to work with this team specifically on the show. And their names are Caitlin Tanwakio, AJ McKeon, John DeBruin, and I feel like I'm missing some people. Alex Burns, this guy Josh and Chris and a few other, like, it's a big squad. It was tricky because it's like a limited budget, but I was like, this has to be the crew. And I felt very strongly about that. And so I'm just very interested in how the show does. One of the things that I will like really push for, this is like the hardest I've ever worked on the launch of a show in my career by far. God damn it. I booked Gareth on 10 podcasts. I'm not exaggerating. And he has booked himself on a few shows as well. I've been emailing the producer of all 10 of these shows, asking them to include a link for the podcast and for the YouTube in the episode description. And all 10 of these episodes should be coming out within the next 2 to 4 weeks. Some of them dropping the day of the show launching, which is very exciting. Others 3 to 4 weeks out. But I'm trying to get them all to come out as soon as possible. And so, yeah, this was really just what I spent so much of my time as a producer on this show, was the market is so ridiculously competitive. And one thing that I love about Gareth is that he's a yes man. I just will send him show after show after show, and he's always like, yeah, let's make it work. Let them know I'm available these days and stuff, and let's find a time. And so much of my efforts on the show have just been booking him on, like I said, as many podcasts as possible to promote it. And it will be really interesting to see if that has any effect on the show. I feel confident that it will. It might not be like a game changer where it's like, oh my God, we hit 1 million downloads because he did 10 shows. That's not what's going to happen. But I think in all of these different comedy circles that have some overlapping but not completely overlapping audiences, is like the common thread is Gareth will be there promoting a show. And so I'm just so excited between like the crew and Gareth and the segments, and Alex Burns doing a phenomenal job with all the segments. I'm extremely excited about this show, and I feel strong that the quality is incredible, and it will just be really interesting to see, where the show is, not only in the next like 6 weeks, but 6 months. I could see this being like a several year thing that we're doing. And it's been really fun working with this crew from the ground floor. So stay tuned, gang. And with that, I will say I am not going to be working on any new shows going forward, obviously, because I'm working on so many shows right now. So that's it. All of my eggs are in all of the baskets. No new shows will be happening. If I say yes to a new show, it's going to be such a bizarre situation that even me right now will be curious of like, wow. No, don't. I just got excited about a hypothetical show that doesn't exist. God damn it. I'm doing too many shows. I talk about it a little bit on Your Kickstarter Sucks, which I got to do, which will be coming out in a couple weeks. I'm very excited. But I'm doing like 10 with Gareth's show. I will be doing like 10 episodes a week. That's too much. I got a lot going on professionally and personally, and the time management is the name of the game. I don't want any of my shows to feel like they're getting the short end of the stick. So with this show, with Gareth's, that's it. I want him and this show, and yeah, I'm just repeating myself, but I just want all these shows to feel like, damn, Kevin really cares about us in this show, because I do. I truly do. However, if I don't want to say average, but if most producers work on anywhere from like 1 to 3 shows a week, maybe 4, 10 is overkill. 10 is a lot. So I want to just be mindful of the people who I feel extremely grateful for, who I work with. So that's it, gang. So I'm basically I'm still going to be doing these vlogs, obviously, even though Again, I would love for these to be weekly, and it is always my goal for them to be weekly. However, sometimes you have a very long week of recording and editing and stuff, and it just, at the end of the day, I don't have the time for it, unfortunately. But I love these check-ins. And what else do I want to talk about? I mean, I'm already here. Any other major updates? I don't really have any big ones. I guess I can get into the nitty-gritty of some things, which is like a social media tip. This is really like a producer tip and I guess a host tip for people, which is what I have seen and I feel like I have confirmed is, obviously podcasts have social media accounts for their shows that typically do the posting. And there's this thing on Instagram called like collab posting, or where you can basically tag a collaborator on the post and it appears on both accounts like profile page. I feel like probably 100% of you watching this already know about this. But it is a, big part of podcasting. I feel like, and even specifically in the last like year and a half, is shows posting from their accounts and then tagging host and guest as collaborators. I would say it's 50-50, maybe 60-40. If the host accept it as a collab post, I work with people who don't accept any of them, which is fine. And I work with people that accept every single one, which is also fine. Something that I've noticed, and I've experienced this personally, is when I have like posted stuff from my Chef Kevin Streams account and I tag my Kevin Bartelt account as the collaborator, my Kevin Bartelt one, which is like just around 6,500 followers, you would think that one, which has 6 times the amount of followers than my Chef Kevin Streams one does, it would be like, oh, well, I'm adding the big one as a collaborator. That's great. It doesn't really impact it. However, when I post something from my bigger account, from my personal one, and I add the smaller account as the collaborator, then I notice that more people are liking it. So my theory, and I could be wrong, but my theory is whatever account has the most followers is where a majority of, maybe not a majority, but it just seems to me like whoever has the biggest account, if they're the ones posting it, and if they're adding other people as collaborators, it's more likely to perform better versus posting it from like a small podcast account and then adding a big host or guest as a collaborator. It just, in my experience, is not really performing like impressive numbers from like the engagement side, the views, the likes and stuff. It's very interesting. So with Gareth, and I should really talk more about the launch of that show. But something that I've chatted about with Caitlin and with a few other people is for the first few weeks, we are going to be doing Gareth posting the clips from his account that has like 110,000 Instagram followers. And then he is going to add the podcast account that has like a few hundred followers as a collaborator. So slowly over time, that account will get, more and more and more followers. Caitlin also had a great suggestion of when these other podcasts are posting clips of Gareth, for me to ask if those shows can add our podcast as a collaborator as well. And then we will share that too. So it's just interesting. I don't have the only like data that I have to support this claim is just personal experience of like posting something from a small account, adding two collaborators that like collectively have like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers and it getting like 60 likes. But then when someone with a bigger following posts it, it gets hundreds or thousands of likes and they've added this teeny show as a collaborator. So that will be interesting to see how the clips do, but we've already created like a clip schedule for like the days of the week, the times of the day that we want to be posting. Again, I'm just so fucking excited about this show because of the effort and the host and the production. Like there's so many parts of the show. The process of the making the show to me is as exciting about the show itself. And I love the show, but I feel like I just can't stress enough. The behind the scenes of the show is also very fun too. So that's kind of a thing that we've been chatting about a lot. And um, what else? That's basically kind of the big things right now. I went to Vegas with a bunch of my old Earwolf coworkers over the weekend. And so I know sleep is very important, and I appreciate people that have said that I should be getting more sleep. That being said, I was up till 5 a.m. Friday and Saturday, and then yesterday I was up editing till 4, and then I got up at 10, which is not horrible. It's fine. And so I am very tired. And so I apologize for any lack of energy I'm bringing to the table right now. But I was in Vegas, so don't feel that bad for me. And yeah, I'm just trying to, I think one of my goals for the this quarter was getting a few weeks ahead with my shows. And one thing that I did is I just made a spreadsheet of my shows and specifically their release schedules. And each show has its own tab on a Google spreadsheet. And it just feels very good to click on each tab and say, okay, here's Hollywood Handbook. Here are the Handbook Tuesdays. Here's the Pro Version Wednesdays. Here's the next 6 days, the next 6 dates that I know the guys are available to record. So of these 6 dates, obviously I'm going to offer them all to guests, and then whichever ones guests aren't available, then I can fill them in with pro versions and stuff like that. And so I would say I'm putting a lot of energy right now into that specifically because my job gets noticeably more difficult when I'm not ahead, basically. And especially with guest booking and stuff, that's when it just gets very frantic and sloppy. And I would say 90% of the time that's preventable. And I'm just trying to do a good job of, and I credit it a lot to this spreadsheet, is just being able to look at each show on its own little tab has been helpful. I don't know how else to say it. It's been good. So that's kind of a big update. I've been recording so much. I can't stress enough how much I've been recording, but I'm trying to take a little work break coming up. And so you know how it goes with podcast production. There are no breaks. And so because of that, I'm trying to bank some episodes. And that is a huge reason why I haven't been able to do a vlog for the last couple of weeks is I did like my longest recording session ever, which was, I mean, when you say I recorded for 8 straight hours, that doesn't sound like everyone works 8, not everyone. A lot of people work 8 hours a day. It's like, wow, Kevin, you sat at a desk for 8 hours, dude. Your life is crazy, bro. You're so brave, man. People like you keep the world moving. No, but I normally am allotted a little break here and there if I am doing like a big recording day. I've never done a day where I sat down at 11 a.m. and I did not stand up until whatever, 7:30 p.m. That was very challenging. And however, the upside of it is I was able to bank like 9 episodes across 3 different shows. And so that was extremely helpful. And so even though it was mentally challenging to do that and to be just like fully locked in, which is an overused phrase, but just like very, paying careful attention for 8 straight hours, which was like pretty draining for my um attention, not debilitating. My attention sucks. What time's dinner? So that was pretty challenging, but the upside is I got so much stuff banked, which was very exciting to me. And so, yeah, I feel good about that. And I'm going to be basically recording every day for a couple weeks. So I'll try to see if I have any major updates there. I guess I'll end with some news that came out today, which is after 15 years, Marc Maron is ending his prolific podcast, WTF. I, like millions of people, loved this show. I'll be honest with you, I haven't listened in a long time, but it was a huge reason why I got into podcasting. I wrote Mark an email in 2013, I want to say, just like thanking him for making the show because it's incredible. And I just felt like a lot of people that I was lucky to listen in on these just genuinely fascinating conversations. My wife, who works in the costume world and movies and television, worked on the show Glow, and which stars Allison Brie and Mark and a bunch of very talented people. And she was like, he was awesome. He was a really cool guy. And I think I recorded him when I worked on Andy Richter's podcast. It was like kind of early COVID, and he was really cool then too. And, because he makes a podcast, he was very like nice to make sure like, hey man, I got the mic recording here and then that's recording over there and I'll send it to you after and this and that and stuff. And it was just like, he didn't have to do that. He could have just been like, whatever, fuck you. Unfortunately, some people do basically, they say that they don't have to use their words to say that. And because it was an early Zoom episode, I was like, oh, he's going to, and it's not fun. Like the host, I've been a big believer of like, it's not fair for hosts that they also had to become engineers during the pandemic. And I think he was like just sympathetic of that and was just like, I'm going to make sure that you have all of the nice audio after this interview, which was really cool. So his WTF is going to be ending in the fall. And I'm very curious to how he's going to end the show. My bet is the last episode will be with his producer, Brendan McDonald, who's a really nice guy. I've met once or twice before. I emailed him last year about Mark doing WTF, or I emailed him about Mark doing Hollywood Handbook, and it was like maybe going to happen, and then it seemed like it wasn't going to happen, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to bother them about it. But my bet is the final episode will be him just talking to his producer the whole time, because I'm pretty sure Brendan has been with him since day one. And I really enjoyed, obviously, he interviewed, President Barack Obama, which was one of the biggest podcast episodes in history. But to me, the second biggest podcast episode in history was his post chat with his producer about all the behind the scenes. I was loving that shit and eating it up. And I'm going to keep guessing here. I'm going to guess that it's going to be like a 2-3 hour discussion about the pod, a retrospective. Is that what the word is? A retrospective. They're going to look back. And I also am going to bet, I don't know, I'm just fully speculating, by the way. I don't know any of this. I'm also going to bet Brennan is going to have like 6 to 10 clips, probably more than 10, that he feels like are a good reflection of, like, for better and for worse, like, this is what the show is like. Here is a 5-minute clip of when you interviewed Paul McCartney or Sam Kinison or whoever, like, whenever he had those, like, highlight moments. And I think that will be, my guess is that will be the final episode. And it will be really interesting to see what he does next. My guess is stand-up comedy and acting in comedies and stuff, or movies and TV shows. So, I don't know. Shout out to A Real One. I've always found the show really good. I thought it was really funny. I saw a clip of him last week talking about he booked someone and the publicist said a name and another person showed up, and then he realized he, like, got the people confused, and he, like, did not know this person at all. And he was like, oh, hey. And I don't think he said to the person, like, I thought you were someone else. He just did a full episode with a completely different person. And when he was talking about it, I think it was, like, on stage. I think he was being interviewed at, like, a live show and was talking about it. And then there's kind of a pause and he goes, I mean, it wasn't good. It was not a good episode, which I thought was super funny, and it got a huge laugh. I'm fortunate to say I've never had an experience like that. But I don't know. I think the show is really good. What else is there to say? I think it's a great example of prep work and how you can show your guest. This sounds kind of weird in a, like, I'm not intending this to sound like bro-y at all. Because anytime people talk about respect, I'm like, what is this? Like some toxic work environment thing, like, you gotta work harder than everyone else. But I think it's just like a nice form of respect to the person, that you're not wasting their time by thinking of, like, thoughtful things to talk to them about. Like, it's very generous of people to take time out of their day to do your little thing. And so I think one of the ways that you can thank somebody is show them that you respect their time and that you appreciate that they're there. And it's more than just saying, hey, thanks for being here, I appreciate it, and then having, like, a bad interview. And not that, like, a bad interview means, like, I don't respect you. You can just listen to any podcast that I've done. You can have just bad episodes. It happens. But I was always impressed by his ability to converse with people, and I feel like organically and sometimes inorganically, and very clunky, but just kind of organically pull things out of people that they maybe, like, otherwise wouldn't share. And I think part of that is you have to be a very open, book yourself. And I think people are less likely to open up if they feel like you are also a very guarded person. It's kind of a thing that I do with just engineering. Is there are some shows, and I want to publicly say this, I fucking hate that they do it. I think it's shitty that they start recording without telling their talent, the guest of the show, and then they just kind of go like, are we recording whatever? And then it's just kind of sneaky. It just feels very like gotcha, and for lack of a better word, like non-consensual. The person they don't know that they're being recorded. And even though they're sitting in front of a table with microphones and cameras, I think if a person doesn't know if they think they're just chatting with someone, and then they like realize that like, oh, wait, did this start? Because that happens. And then sometimes the guest is like, well, I wouldn't have said X, Y, and Z. So I And I got teased for it today, but I always go out of my way to announce when I'm recording, because I want everyone to be on the same page that I've started recording the audio and the video. So if they want to feel, I don't know, just like comfortable talking with the person beforehand, it comes back to just like, I want to create a safe, comfortable space for everyone in the room. And so if you're like unsure if I'm recording you, I think that's kind of messed up. And so I don't know, going back to, but even if you're doing kind of like a cold open thing, I think that's fine. I just want to say from behind, at the engineer desk, like, just so everyone knows I'm rolling. It's a stupid small thing, but I think it's important, and not that it needs to be this like universal policy. And I understand like a person's intent with like not saying it, because they're just like, I just want to have like an organic thing where we're just like chatting and stuff. I understand your intent is to make everyone feel comfortable, but you're tricking them into comfort. And I don't know. It's just a thing I've always thought is not cool. And I know other people feel the same way. Even if they didn't, I still feel strongly about it. So it's just it's weird, man. Just tell people when you're recording. Bringing it back to Mark, I feel like he does a good job. Again, he's done like thousands of episodes, and I haven't listened to everyone. So I guess don't quote me that he's done this for every single one. But I do think he does a good job of making the guest feel comfortable, both with like the questions he's bringing to the table, like the clear research he's doing behind the scenes, and just himself being an open book. I think that's just like a recipe for success of showing the person that's like, hey, I'm going to show you that I'm very grateful that you're here. And I'm hoping that we can have a great conversation. That this would be so funny if you said this to people. I'm hoping that we have a great conversation, but also that our listeners will get a lot out of this. So I don't know. There's just like moral things like that I think blend into the content that you're making. I was just kind of paused because I was just thinking about a clip that was posted on a show that I work on was deleted because I said so, because it was just getting a overwhelming amount of negative comments. And I felt like it was not fair for the host. Not that it wasn't fair for the host and the guest, but it just kind of became a controversial, negative conversation in the comments that was very negative. And it just didn't, it felt like it was not bordering on unsafe, but just bordering on like aggressively negative in a way that I was like, this isn't cool. I know no one wants to be associated with that, so let's pull it. And we did. And I was just having a conversation about exactly that with someone today of, what they said. And I agree with is like, it's not technically hard to make like a viral content and stuff. It's that you want to make engaging content, but you also want to make content that in theory is showing the best lights of like all people and is reflecting everyone in an accurate depiction. I don't know if that makes sense, but like you can make viral posts that's like shocking and crazy, but I think the host or the guest might not like it. And they might especially not like it if it's like going viral and it's like a bad, it's spun in a way that looks bad. And then I think understandably, they might just be like, you know what? That made me feel shitty and I don't want to do the show anymore. So this is my last episode. I've seen stuff like that happened before. Maybe not that cut and dry. Like, this clip made me end my podcast, but stuff like that, where if that happens enough, I think it'd be completely understandable for a host to say, like, I don't really like the outcome of this show, and so I don't want to be associated with it anymore. And I don't know, it's very fascinating, frankly. So all of that being said, I just really like creating a comfortable space for everyone. That's just a thing that I think has always been important to me. And it's been interesting watching WTF over the last 15 years. It's crazy to think about, but like listening to it in college and be like, wow, this is like the most mature, fascinating, engaging conversation I probably have ever heard. And I'm sure was like a huge gateway for me into other podcasts. It was. I mean, I listened to WTF and I was like, this is really fascinating. It's also really funny. Are there any other comedy podcasts? Typing in comedy into the podcast app, finding Comedy Bang Bang, looking up Earwolf, and here I am. So thanks to WTF for, I feel like, impacting like a huge part of my life. Again, even though I can't tell you the last time I listened to the show, but probably for a lot of people, it was important to them. So that is my thought on that. I'll try to think of maybe other kind of podcast newsy things that I could talk about. But that was just one that stuck out to me right now. Okay, I'm gonna end with one final thing. I'm just kind of doing this as I say this poetic thing about the power of prep and how it's respectful to the audience. I'm very clearly doing this off the cuff. And so I'm gonna end on a few small things that I wish I did a little bit differently this week in podcast land. The first is I got called out for probably like the 5th time in a couple months, which is bad, like bad. I have to upload ads for shows I work on a few business days before the episode comes out. I don't like doing this. I think it is annoying. And now I will say, to my fault, I take a lot of pride in trying not to be like, hey, if you ask me to do something, you're not going to have to ask a second time. This is like the one thing I can think of in a while that I feel like is consistently being like, Kevin, where are the fucking ads? So that makes me feel bad, period. However, this was not a thing that was a thing for the first like 6 or 7 years of my career. That doesn't mean that things, can't change. Then I'll be like, but I didn't have to do that before. It's like, hey, champions adjust, my guy. So I think that is a little annoying, that I feel like this is now just like a quote unquote policy that mostly producers have to deal with, and engineers, editors, the staff essentially, is essentially for no extra money, producers have to do extra work earlier for ads to be listened to and essentially pre-approved by advertisers. Now, I'll go back and forth here. I'm going to play devil's advocate with basically every sentence I say. The reason they're doing this is to prevent make goods. So they're doing this so that they can catch up. They can call out, hey, the host read the wrong call to action here. They said the wrong URL or the wrong like percentage off. So can you, before this comes out tomorrow, can you quickly have them record the last line again? Because they did it wrong. And if it was not submitted early, they would have had no way of catching that. And then they would have emailed and said, hey, so this ad went out to thousands and thousands of people. The wrong information was said, and we did not pay for the wrong information to come out. So we want our money back. And make goods, I mean, that's do a whole episode on that too. But it's all of the money back is like always kind of crazy to me, because it's like, okay, but like 50,000 people heard 99% of this ad read correctly, and they're going to like grammar police on one thing, and then they get hundreds of dollars back. It's not, call to action is the only one that I'm like, okay, if the wrong URL was said, they're just being guided to the wrong place entirely. When it's annoying to me is stuff that I think is subjective, where it's like, but this is a good ad. Very Hollywood Handbook coded, obviously. But most of the shows I've worked on, I've had to push back over the last 10 years about some sort of ad thing. And however, a thing, again, that is being asked of me that I'm not doing a great job of is uploading those ads early so that people can hear them in advance. One of the things that is annoying to me is uploading stuff early, and then it's just like nothing happens. No one listens to it. And so it was like, well, why did I have to upload this early if no one even listened to it? So that can get frustrating. And so that's just like a new thing in the last couple of years with advertisers, where like one of the required bullet points, what they're paying for is for you, the producer, to upload the ads several days before the episode comes out, and it's not even guaranteed that they're going to listen to it at all. So even though I have strong feelings about it, it is still a thing that is being asked of me, and I should, I don't think it's a thing that I'm like, you know what? No, because then I'm like the asshole producer, and it's like, is this the hill I want to die on? Like, is this really worth it? Like uploading something 2 days earlier. And also, like I've talked about, I'm working with several talented people. So I honestly think, like, if it continues to be an issue, this is a thing that one of the talented people who I work with, I could hand off to them of like, hey, person, can you please, this is a thing I'm struggling with. Can you please upload these ads for me a few days early, because I am not doing a good job with it, because I'm not really motivated to do it. So if you could help me with that, that would be incredible. So that would just be like a great example of something that it's obviously hard to do anything that you don't enjoy. I don't enjoy doing this. So it's really just needs to be like one of two things. I need to just start doing this and like shut up, because I think it's a bad look on me that the same people are having to regularly ask me to do the same thing over and over again. I think that makes me look bad. So I rather just need to do a better job with it, or hand that off to someone to do it for me. So that's one thing, Kevin's regret of the week. And I don't know, two other things, I guess. My inbox is just very full. I feel bad that there's just a lot of people who I have not responded to. And I think like quick communication is like a very helpful thing that can make you stand out in the podcast world. And I think it, again, I don't know why I keep coming back to respect, but I think it like shows the people that you're communicating with that you respect them. It sounds so weird. It's one of those things where you say a word so many times it starts to sound weird. But I just, there's too many people sending me following up. And for 8 years, I was the one sending following up. Now I still have to send follow up a lot, but now it's just my inbox and phone is just a collage of following up. So I just want to be a little bit faster on the draw there. And then the last thing is, I had some issues with my soundboard today where I switched an XLR cable and it fully froze my machine. And I felt bad about it because the hosts were all sitting here patiently waiting for me to figure it out. And it happens, and stuff like that. And it all got fixed and sorted, and at the end of the day, everything's fine. But had I got into this studio 5 minutes earlier, I would have fixed that so that the hosts weren't waiting on me, because they're paying for the space, and I'm not charging them for the, like, Kevin needed to figure out the stuff, his own gear, part of the day. But that, I don't know, that was just a thing that I was like, oh God, this is so, I don't know. I don't want to say it was embarrassing, but it was just like, you can feel your heart racing as like three talented people are sitting here like, no, it's all good, dude. Take your time. And I'm like, but it's not all good to me. But yeah, so just, trying to, I'm sure you're watching the funniest, the best show on TV right now, The Rehearsal. It's just like, both with the rehearsal and then specifically with like being a pilot, so much of that is just like you're preparing for every single thing that could go wrong. And I feel like that's the thing I want to do a better job of in the studio is like, oh, okay, now I know for some reason if my Pro Tools is on and if I for some reason switch XLR cables, there's a chance it just freezes the board and I have to restart everything. And so maybe if I'm swapping cables with everything armed, I need to like close Pro Tools just to be safe. So there's not like a loud beeping sound and everyone's like, what's that? So unfortunately, sometimes it's just like you learn on the job and you don't know how a thing could break until it breaks. So, however, I feel like I could have figured that out had I entered this studio that is 30 feet away from my bedroom 5 minutes earlier. So just, answering stuff a little faster, doing this ad approval thing where I'm uploading the ads essentially when they are being asked of me. And, I think for 95% of recordings, I'm here like significantly earlier than the talent because I'm setting up. But then weirdly, the one where I got the most cocky was the one in my own home. So, yeah, just different variations of communication and technical prep stuff is what I'm probably going to be thinking about for the next few days. That is everything, gang. Again, I appreciate your patience and apologize that I'm a few weeks behind here, but I really enjoyed catching up with you. And I'm hoping that as I kind of finish with banking all of these episodes, maybe I don't want to say I'm going to get back into the weekly release because that's not promised, but I'm going to try to release these still on a consistently consistent basis. And with that beautiful sentence, I will say thanks for watching.